Hello and welcome to French Philosophers React, your daily philosophical take on the news headlines. This is an AI-generated podcast based directly on the writings of the philosophers discussed. But like all AI, it can make mistakes. In the news today, September 26th, 2024, the article reports escalating conflict between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon, with a death toll of over 600 people and thousands more injured. The United Nations estimates that 90,000 people have been displaced since Monday, in addition to the over 200,000 who had already left their homes in southern Lebanon due to previous exchanges of fire. Israel has been conducting aerial attacks on Hezbollah targets, but is now preparing for a potential ground invasion, with 2 reserve brigades being called up. The Israeli military has announced that troops are ready to cross the border, and there are fears that Israel may also target other parts of Lebanon. Hezbollah has responded by launching missiles at Tel Aviv, but was intercepted by Israel's air defenses. The group has vowed to continue fighting, with Iranian-backed militias in Iraq claiming responsibility for a drone attack on an Israeli building. World leaders have warned of the dangers of a full-blown regional conflict, but are preparing for the opposite. Governments have advised citizens in Lebanon to return home while they can, as airlines cancel flights from Beirut. The article also reports on the human toll of the conflict, with thousands of people fleeing southern Lebanon and crossing into Syria to escape the fighting. Aid agencies have expressed concern about the humanitarian situation, with many people in need of food, shelter, and medical care. The Israeli military has estimated that Hezbollah had 150,000 rockets and missiles at the start of the war, but has not said how many have been destroyed. Senior commanders killed include the head of the elite Radwan force last week, and on Tuesday, the head of the missile and rocket force, Ibrahim Qubaisi. Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has vowed that Hezbollah will survive despite the death of senior leaders, and the group has previously managed to rebound from heavy blows and fight Israeli forces to a standstill. The article concludes by reporting on the reaction in Israel, with people expressing support for the military action against Hezbollah. However, there are also concerns about the impact on civilians, particularly in areas near the border with Lebanon. Commentary. As the conflict between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon intensifies, a clarion call for nuance has been issued by one of history's most astute observers of human nature. Jean-Jacques Rousseau cautions us against the simplism that often accompanies such strife, reminding us that our inherent goodness is forever at odds with the corrupting influences of society. In his profound discourse on the origin of inequality, Rousseau noted that the most ancient of all societies, and the only one that is natural, is the family. This primal bond between parents and children represents a state of innocence, unmarred by the complexities and conflicts that beset us when we enter the realm of civilization. The families caught in this maelstrom, their lives shattered by the relentless barrage of artillery and rockets, are not mere statistics or pawns in a larger game. They embody a fundamental aspect of humanity that we must strive to preserve. But as soon as these isolated units congregate into something more substantial, the sweetness of that original state begins to wane. Our primal bond gives way to more complex social relationships, and it is precisely this phenomenon that has unfolded in Lebanon with such devastating speed. The news story speaks of over 90,000 people displaced since Monday alone, a staggering figure that underscores the sheer scale of human suffering. Rousseau would remind us that it is not the strong who are culpable for the presence of the weak, but rather their duty to assist them. Yet in our zealous pursuit of security and self-defense, we often forget this fundamental principle of compassion and empathy. As we watch the devastation unfold on our screens, let us not lose sight of the human cost of conflict, a toll borne not just by soldiers and politicians, but also by ordinary people, women, children, and families. The noble savage idealized in Rousseau's philosophy might seem like an unattainable utopia in this context. And yet, it serves as a powerful reminder of the values we should strive to uphold: justice, equality, and the inherent dignity of every human being. In the midst of this chaos, we must find ways to resist the dehumanizing effects of war and instead affirm our shared humanity. In his magisterial The Social Contract, Rousseau wrote that it is not the rich who are responsible for poverty, but rather their duty to relieve them. Similarly, in Lebanon today, it's not Hezbollah or Israel alone that bears the blame for this humanitarian crisis. It's our collective failure to prioritize peace and diplomacy over military might. As world leaders scramble to contain the fallout, we would do well to recall Rousseau's words. It is not the fault of the strong that there are weak, but it is their duty to assist them. Thank you for listening to today's episode of French Philosophers React. Be sure to come back tomorrow for another reflective take on the day's news.